What's up, y'all? BT doing yet another podcast. Been away for a minute, been a little busy with life, been in constant motion, but as the saying goes, the show must go on. So, as y'all know with me, if I got thoughts to share, the best thing to do is just put them on paper or share them with the world. So, decided to take the latter and share with the world. Got quite a setup for topics today. You'll probably notice it's going to be a little different this time. Actually going back to what I was doing before, which was giving you a little bit of a flair, kind of let you know I kind of got my insight and my joy for music and sounds and noise and all that jazz. So with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and hop into it. If you're looking at the image, you're going to see that I have quite a bit of topics. I've mentioned a few of these topics on my personal Snapchat. So if you're not following already, go to Bright82. Check me out. Yes, I do random posts as well, but I also do let you know when I'm either going live or about to go live. Now, what I'm probably going to be changing it up a little bit is I'll get these recorded and then have them shared. So that way it's not where it's going to be on that day. But I also want to get this one produced today because since today is Thursday, and of course today is the day that the NFL Week 5 madness begins. So I'm gonna do my picks in a moment. I'm kind of a little in my feelings about my picks, and I'll go into that soon. But before doing so, I must admit, this past week it was great to be a Chelsea fan. Chelsea was able to beat Hull City. Anyone who knows Premier League and is a knowledgeable person when it comes to Premier League will confirm and will tell you, you do not call them Hull. If you do, for whatever reason, it's almost like it's a What's up, y'all? BT doing yet another podcast. Been away for a minute, been a little busy with life, been in constant motion, but as the saying goes, the show must go on. So, as y'all know with me, if I got thoughts to share, the best thing to do is just put them on paper or share them with the world. So, decided to take the latter and share with the world. Got quite a setup for topics today. You'll probably notice it's going to be a little different this time. Actually going back to what I was doing before, which was giving you a little bit of a flair, kind of let you know I kind of got my insight and my joy for music and sounds and noise and all that jazz. So with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and hop into it. If you're looking at the image, you're going to see that I have quite a bit of topics. I've mentioned a few of these topics on my personal Snapchat. So if you're not following already, go to Bright82. Check me out. Yes, I do random posts as well, but I also do let you know when I'm either going live or about to go live. Now, what I'm probably going to be changing it up a little bit is I'll get these recorded and then have them shared. So that way it's not where it's going to be on that day. But I also want to get this one produced today because since today is Thursday, and of course today is the day that the NFL Week 5 madness begins. So I'm gonna do my picks in a moment. I'm kind of a little in my feelings about my picks, and I'll go into that soon. But before doing so, I must admit, this past week it was great to be a Chelsea fan. Chelsea was able to beat Hull City. Anyone who knows Premier League and is a knowledgeable person when it comes to Premier League will confirm and will tell you, you do not call them Hull. If you do, for whatever reason, it's almost like it's a What's up, y'all? BT doing yet another podcast. Been away for a minute, been a little busy with life, been in constant motion, but as the saying goes, the show must go on. So, as y'all know with me, if I got thoughts to share, the best thing to do is just put them on paper or share them with the world. So, decided to take the latter and share with the world. Got quite a setup for topics today. You'll probably notice it's going to be a little different this time. Actually going back to what I was doing before, which was giving you a little bit of a flair, kind of let you know I kind of got my insight and my joy for music and sounds and noise and all that jazz. So with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and hop into it. If you're looking at the image, you're going to see that I have quite a bit of topics. I've mentioned a few of these topics on my personal Snapchat. Like I said, Chelsea did get that win, so that was a big deal and a big thing for the Blues' state of mind. Now, on the flip side, for whatever reason, looks like the Panthers turned into the Cubs, or whatever you want to call baby cats, whatever. But they played Atlanta, and game started off with a steady flow, but it was more Atlanta dominating the game. And then as the game progressed, it pretty much became Atlanta's game. A few key plays. So I talked with someone about one important thing that was pointed out, which I don't think is a big deal, but it's a big deal for fantasy, which I'll get into that in a moment as well. Fantasy wise, Julio Jones did not get 300 yards, but they gave him credit for stating it was a 300-yard game. You know, that's neither here nor there. But beyond that, the game started off rough because Carolina got a first down. Instead of Cam just saying, hey, we got the first down, put the ball down on the next play, it was, hey, we got the first down, let's gloat about it and make it like this big scene. And I'm going to throw the ball at the player and do my first down celebration. And thanks to that, it was a 15-yard penalty. Didn't score on that drive, of course. Another drive, we had the ball. We gained yardage due to a pass interference, but we lost yardage or lost due to another penalty on us. I can't think of the exact call, but those penalties affect, like, by them being offset, we pretty much stayed where we were and ended up not scoring on that drive. Towards the end of the game, Carolina had a decent chance of trying to come back, but by then it was too late. Derek Anderson was not as clutch as they expected. Something you got to also keep in mind, Cam went down with a concussion. They haven't confirmed whether he's going to be playing this week. I haven't really been looking at the stories to see anything about that yet, but that happening was a huge blow to Carolina, because Derek Anderson had to come in, and it's like Derek Anderson may play with the first team, but he really hasn't gotten a lot of reps consistently with them. So it showed in that game due to lack of experience and just fails across the board. So I don't know if Anderson's going to be starting this week. If he does, it is what it is. I don't have him on fantasy. I know that's kind of a bad thing, but that'll segue me right into the fails of the fantasy. And this week, I'm literally not normal with doing this, but I will go ahead and share it this way because it's a coincidence. I forgot on the fantasy league site that we're on with NFL, that almost makes NFL fantasy generates a story based on your matchup. So this week I played against obviously the top person in the league, who's 4-0, and I pretty much got demolished because of three big names that just showed out from the beginning, and they were Big Ben with 51 points. DeMarco Murray had 25 or 26. We'll say 25.9. AJ Green had 33 for Cincinnati, and those three players alone gave a big amount of points for my opponent. I started Gostkowski. Well, I have Gostkowski as my starting kicker for New England. New England didn't score. Yay. So that by itself was a struggle. I only had three. I had three big names in double figures. Wilson had 38. McCoy had 22. And Victor Cruz had 10. I really wasn't expecting a lot out of Cruz, but I got something from him. So I guess, as the saying goes, something is better than nothing. Yeah. So stat wise, Ben had 5 touchdowns, making that 51.9 points. So he had 300 yards, a 2-pointer, and five touchdowns. Green gave him the receiving yards, and DeMarco Murray scored 2 touchdowns. And Roethlisberger had the second highest points this week, so it went the way it did. I've gotten some tight ends coming in or trying to do some work, so we'll see how it goes this week. And I'm now in 9th place. So I don't know how this is going to go. I just been playing just to play. Keeping up with stats and getting in the fantasy league is kind of like not one of my strongest suits, but I participated because it's, I'm not a bad sport when it comes to stuff like that. So it is what it is. It went the way it did. Now the big intriguing story, and I'm sorry, before I do that story, I want to make sure I jump into what I always love to call my picks of the week. Last week, of course, Carolina lost, so that was one loss I already had. New England lost, which was another loss that I already had that I didn't expect. So what I'm doing this week is I'm going to make sure when I write down my picks that I have my picks, or I have my schedule, but I also have what the records of both teams are, to kind of give perspective of what the matchup could look like, as to who has the better record, who's coming into the game with more momentum, things of that sort. So last week I was 4-11. So overall, I don't know where that puts me, but I know I'm well below 500. So goodbye to that .60. We're gonna see if this week I can get a stronger or a bigger winning formula, and we'll just kind of let it be what it is. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and start giving my picks. So I'm gonna just go ahead and do it a little backwards this year. Oh, not this year. This week. Matter of fact, I'm not even gonna do backwards. I'm just gonna go ahead and get the obvious one out of the way. Tampa Bay at Carolina. Sorry. Tampa Bay, I'm being biased, and I know one of my friends will probably be listening and be like, wait, you picking against your team and you're picking your rival? Yep, you heard it here first. Both teams are 1-3, so yep, that's where I'm at. Arizona and San Fran, I'm going to go Arizona. Washington at Baltimore. Tennessee at Miami. Tennessee. Houston at Minnesota. Surprise pick, Minnesota, maybe not. Chicago at Indianapolis, going Chicago. Jets at Pittsburgh. Philadelphia at Detroit. Philadelphia's coming off of a bye week. Philadelphia should be fine. New England against Cleveland. Unless something stupid happens, New England should win, especially with Tom Brady coming back. I have a story that'll kind of be intriguing to add to that. Atlanta at Denver. Might be a surprise pick, but I'm going Atlanta. San Diego at Oakland. Now, normally I do these last, but I'm doing these now because I'm just in my feelings. But it is what it is. I'm going to go Oakland. Buffalo at Rams. Might be the big game. Gonna pick Buffalo. Cincinnati at Dallas. And Giants at Green Bay. Green Bay coming off of a bye week. Gonna go Green Bay. Don't know how the chemistry will work with the Giants, but we'll see. Because that story I didn't touch because it's kind of just irrelevant to me, and I know that's kind of a bad thing to say as a sports stream podcaster, but I don't really have a lot of a wow or ooh and ah factor to that matchup. So now I'm going to go into a story that has been huge because it just was unexpected. Ben Simmons is going to be out the first 3 months of the regular season, or he's going to be out 3 months. So there's kind of a tough place where the team is being left. Now the trust is being placed on the Croatian sensation, Dario Saric, which the first thing I want to say is who. Philadelphia has a lot of big men, but they have a lot of youth and a lot of inexperience. So the 76ers, I'm not going to say that they're set up for failure, but it's a challenge for them because they don't really have like an identity or a true form of leadership. Now, a story that's I'm reading on the side, and I'm gonna read until it is confirmed and until it actually happens. I'm not gonna touch it yet, but the story of the talk is already being made that they may sit Ben Simmons this year. And believe it or not, it's gonna be shocking to hear me say this. Due to Philadelphia's history, I wouldn't put it past them if they did, because they did the same thing with Nerlens Noel. And whether anyone realizes it or believes it or not, it actually didn't turn out as being a bad scenario for him in the long haul. So It could be the case with Ben Simmons, and that means he technically would be another. It's like you're eligible to be a rookie again, which I don't have a problem with that. Blake Griffin went through that, and you see how his career has flourished pretty well. So we'll just, and I'm excited, but I'm just kind of like, we'll just see how this story turns out. I mean, if he does come back, maybe he'll come back and surprise everyone and still end up getting Rookie of the Year. Who knows? So that then carries me into my next story, which is the known. You go from the known possible all-star candidate / Rookie of the Year to a guy getting into the league and oddly enough having a legacy ahead of him. I mean, before coming into the league because of his father. So Gary Payton, aka the Gloves, his son, Gary Payton II, made his debut with the Houston Rockets. He signed a 3-year deal. They played against the Shanghai Sharks, and he had a pretty good performance. He more so stepped in. I mean, he had 3 points, 1 rebound, and 2 steals. So, I mean, he had a minimal amount of time, but in that amount of time, he made his presence felt. And then, 2, what I looked at, and the reason I presented this topic is because right now, Houston is in a very unique position because they currently have James Harden as their starting point guard, which I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, you got Harden, you have Gordon, Patrick Beverly. I don't think they really trust him with handling the ball, which that's not my place to really touch. I'm not a GM, so I don't know. There must be some reasoning behind it, but I think Gary Payton would be a good backup point guard, if not third string. I don't know. I know it's not obviously not such thing as a third string, but I think he'll be a good fit for Houston as far as being able to come in and distribute the ball, as well as playing good defense. I mean, that's realistically what D'Antoni despises but needs to kind of win, because Houston is in a tough spot. And I'm saying this as a fan of basketball, but also as an honest Houston fan. Golden State is the hype, obvious, but there are other teams in the West that can be sleeper teams. One of those teams, and no one's going to believe me when I say it, is Portland. Portland always can come out and have great games and just show out when it matters most. So I don't push or give the edge or pull it away from Houston right now, but Houston has to really work to at least be a top 4 seed in the playoffs if they want to make a name for themselves. Everyone needs to get their excitement down a little bit too, because I may do a story or a conversation about why I'm not oohed and awed by Golden State yet, and that may kind of trigger me to do something a little different, and I'm gonna think about it because it could be fun. We'll see. Next story is about the box score beast, the jump shooting demon, the man on the block from BYU at one time and pretty much disappeared in the NBA. Jimmer Fredette. He's gone ahead and taken his talents over to China, where he's now playing in the Chinese Basketball Association, and he's playing with the Shanghai Sharks, who is a team that's owned or managed with Yao Ming. Don't hold me to that. He played against Houston and oddly enough had 33 points. I think this is a good fit for him because he's been truly in the NBA, whether it's acknowledged or whether it's presented or not, he's been trying to find his home or find his way into the league, and it's just not worked out because he's a good shooter, but it's like, okay, beyond shooting, what other things can you bring that are really going to give you that wow factor? And I'm saying all of that because I know the first thing would be, well, what about JJ Redick? JJ Redick can actually shoot. He's a starter. He produces on the floor. He can play pretty decent defense. And something that you got to look at with the NBA, and I'm going to go there because I can, is in the NBA you can get away with not playing great defense. A lot of people forget that. And I'm here to remind you that defense is not always important. Look at Golden State, what they stacked up with. Klay Thompson is not the best defender. Steph Curry is not really a big on-ball defender either. Draymond Green is. Kevin Durant plays off-ball as needed too. From looking at the game they played against the Clippers, it's pretty much clear Zaza Pachulia is there to just get a ball to other people and shoot, because he's not going to take any shots. If he scored in that game, I would be surprised. Matter of fact, ADD moment kicking in, because I want to know how did that go, and just confused and understanding like what even happened, because it was such hype behind it that it was like, I don't know, I really didn't know what to expect. Excuse me. I just need one thing, and I'm going to get back to the story, because I know y'all are like, well, you should have had that information if you were going to look it up. And you're right. They may not have anything for him, and I don't see anything. Yep, nothing. He may not have scored. I don't know. But anyway, point being, it's just an up in the air. It's every season. I mean, you always hear the term up in the air, but the truth is, it's really an open season for everyone. There's no one person that you're gonna say, "Oh, this is the team we really need to watch out for." It's just because, in all fairness, and I really want to say this to get people to understand what Golden State did is a thing that Portland did a few years ago, and what LA did when it was kind of clear that the chemistry of Kobe and Shaq was kind of diminishing, and that was they built a super squad. Super squads can work. Super squads can fall apart. When Cleveland came together with their three, it wasn't a solid shoe in the first few games. When Miami did the big three, not one, not two, not three, they got two, and everybody went on their separate ways. So, stuff that you got to look at when it comes to the sports scene. And now my final wild card, blindside, unexpected story that I wanted to share is about Gronk, aka Rob Gronkowski. So he is getting a lot of friction and tension when going to the store to make daily, everyday groceries, because people are picking him up in fantasy leagues and not getting any points. He's so far produced 1 point in fantasy league. The coincidence, I believe, is I think I had him on my fantasy league, or I think was going to get him or something. I don't remember. But he's not a productive scoring threat when it comes to fantasy football. Now, something to keep in mind this year, first 4 games, he didn't have Tom Brady. A lot of people are going to say, well, what does that have to do with anything? They still have a pretty good quarterback. Well, if that quarterback doesn't know how to work with Gronk, or vice versa, then you don't get the production that's expected, or that you would look to have happen over time as it's occurred with other, players, aka Brady. So he's been having a field day about this, and literally the first thing he said is, his response, he said, "I can't even go to the grocery store without getting yelled at." And he told us to reporters on yesterday. But his response is, "Why did you draft me? Like, why would you draft somebody if he ain't having a good season? It ain't on him." But his focus is more about winning. Like, honestly, in Gronk's case, if it came down to that game against Buffalo, would he have been more concerned about getting fantasy points or concerned about winning the game? I think winning the game and getting points on the scoreboard would have been a bigger deal. So I'm on his side with this. I think, and I know it's kind of like, wait, we ain't asked your opinion, and you're right, you didn't, but I'm gonna give it anyway because this is my podcast and I'm gonna do what I want. But the truth is, I really feel as though he doesn't get his just credit for what he does do when it matters. And then two, you got to keep in mind that's Brady's go-to guy. When Brady comes back and they play this week, you're definitely gonna notice a difference in the offense. Whoever has Tom Brady in my league, I'm hoping I'm not playing him this week, because if I am, I'll be prepared for that glorified win. Wins come in moral victories. Anyway, I hope you all have enjoyed. I really am glad to be doing what I love, and I'm just staying focused and being positive and just letting everything kind of speak for itself. So until next time, this is BT signing out. Also, if you're not following already, please check out Facebook, Brate Podcast, Twitter, Brate Podcast. I am on iTunes. If you search for Brate Podcast, you'll find it. You'll notice, and I don't give this, and I need to start making sure I present this. You'll see a microphone, and it's gonna have BRYTAY in the on the microphone, and it shows an image of sports balls. I believe it's tennis ball, football, basketball, something like that. And it has a music note and it has a video game controller. So that's my logo. That's a logo that was designed for me by a good Connect Creative Addicts. If you're not following her, you may want to check her out. CreativeAddix. She's my go-to person right now with graphics. Could be changing soon. Not putting too much out there yet, but just letting y'all know it's good. So I'm going to end it here. Hope y'all enjoy. Be good. Stay positive. Be a blessing, not a burden. If you are going through things, let life kind of lead the way and you just follow according to the plan. All right, y'all. Peace.